So today we need to talk about a huge recruiting win that Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes got. One we lightly previewed yesterday, but today we really need to dive deep into this because Coach Prime got in a massive win in the class of 2024 for one of the most coveted defensive line prospects in the nation, Omar White, out the state of Georgia. Today we need to talk about why this is such a big addition, and I have a little bit of a hot take about this win that you do not want to miss. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited about this win for Coach Prime in Colorado? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions are massive, and we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers, and I would love nothing more than to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, who is Omar White? Omar White is 6'3", 307 pounds from the state of Georgia, and specifically comes in as the number 108 prospect in the nation, regardless of position, per 24/7 Sports Composite. So this guy is a coveted defensive line prospect, someone who I wouldn't be surprised at all to see move up the rankings between now and the point where he eventually signs. Omar White has been a force wherever he's gone. He was the defensive MVP for his team, and that doesn't look to be something that's a one-off. This guy right here is an absolute menace on the football field. Whether that's getting to the quarterback, whether that's stuffing the run, you name it, he is wreaking havoc, something you love to see from a defensive line perspective. He carries the size very well, 6'3", 307 pounds, and like I said, I think the best way to describe him, he is an absolute menace in the best way possible on the football field. Watching his tape is a ton of fun. And there is no doubt that this is a massive win for Coach Prime in Colorado. One thing that I've heard consistently whenever we've discussed some of the transfer portal wins or some of the recruiting wins, people will justifiably ask, what about the trenches? What about the offensive line? What about the defensive line? And Coach Prime and Colorado are absolutely aware of this. They've made it a point to get some wins in those departments, but you want to ensure that you have a bright future in those rooms? Look to your recruiting classes. And what better way to do that than pulling in a blue chip guy that's a top 150 player in the nation, regardless of position, in Omar White, someone who pretty much every institution in the country was after, and he was in SEC country. One of the most intriguing things when I look at Omar White and I look at this situation is who one of his primary recruiters was whenever that guy was at the University of Alabama. And that's Charles Kelly. Because when Charles Kelly was at Alabama, he was already going after Omar White. So when Charles Kelly made the move from Alabama to Colorado, you have to imagine that that relationship was super easy to transition. And especially when now it's not just Charles Kelly. It's Coach Prime making this pitch. It's Nick Williams making this pitch to the defensive lineman. This is a really interesting situation we have got to watch. We've talked at length about the recruiting that Charles Kelly can offer. He has got roots to Georgia. He's got roots to Alabama. He's got roots to Florida. 3 incredibly talent-rich states. And whenever you look at the level of recruiters that Coach Prime has assembled on this staff, there is an absolute reason to be excited because you're stacking heavyweight recruiters. I can't wait to see what happens. But I started off this video by saying I have a little bit of a hot take about this win, and I do. I think this is the biggest recruiting win Coach Prime has had since he's been named head coach at Colorado. And I know there are going to be those of you that just raised your eyes, and let me explain. First off, I consider recruiting in the transfer portal to be a little bit different, even though you do have to recruit guys that are in the transfer portal. I consider transfer portal wins and recruiting wins to be a little bit different. So for those of you that are wondering, what about Travis Hunter? No doubt about it. Travis Hunter is a generational talent. There is no diminishing the impact he has on whatever roster he steps on. But even then, whenever we look at the recruiting wins Coach Prime has gotten in the class of 2023, he's gotten some blue chip 4-star guys. In the class of 2025, a 5-star wide receiver. I think Omar White is the biggest recruiting win to date. Why? Because I'm not surprised at all when I see these guys at the skill positions go play for Coach Prime. The one question so many people have had is, what about the trenches? When are we going to see some wins, big-time wins like we've seen in the skill positions in the trenches? The answer, now. Because whenever we look at this, whenever these things tend to happen, they can cause a snowball. We talk about this at length, specifically with the quarterback position. Whenever you look at these recruiting classes that add in a blue chip quarterback, typically there's a snowball effect after it. Guys want to play with those type of players. Guys are going to want to play with Omar White. Other defensive linemen, edge guys, offensive linemen, they're going to want to play with Omar White. Why? Because he is a certified blue-chip defensive lineman who wreaks havoc everywhere he goes. This is a huge win for Coach Prime. Whether you agree with me or not that it's the biggest win to date since he's taken over as the head coach of Colorado, that's fine. I'd be very interested to hear who your biggest win is, but one thing I think we can all agree on: addressing needs in the trenches is something that every team in the nation needs to do, and there's no better way to do that than by landing blue-chip guys such as Omar White. I think this is a huge win, and I'm really interested to see what other wins they're able to stack, as Coach Prime is already letting it be known he's already looking at the class of 2024 as well. I can't wait to hear from all of you. I think this is a huge win. This has been a dude that's really affected the game in a positive way for his defense wherever he has played. Super interested to see what his senior year holds. And like I said, I think this is someone who's going to rise up the rankings. Hop down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.